everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and this is my somewhat late review of episode 3 of House of the Dragon. Sorry, I bought a new binder for my magic cards, and I've been trying to... Look, the point is, it's late, my bad. Anyways, episode 3 of House of the Dragon, and I will say something I've really been loving about the show so far is that every episode we are getting just one step closer to what we would call actual war, you know, like, and I think for the first time we're seeing two groups of people, actually, you know, two armies going at war with each other. Now, this isn't the start of the legitimate war, you know, they even kind of argue about that in the show. Really, it's these two families that have been rivals forever, and so far back that they don't even know why they were rivals. But there was essentially a little border dispute. Someone moved some stones, and it was like two groups of teenagers kind of bickering at each other. And then they find out, like, oh, your house declared for that queen? Well, my house declared for the other queen. And then we cut to hundreds of people dead. And, you know, they kind of talk about this in King's Landing. They're like, well, you know, our side technically won, I think, even though it was a huge loss on both sides. So it's not much of a victory. And he's like, well, good. That's first blood for us. We, at the beginning of the war, we won. And they're like, are we at war? Are we? And he's like, well, I'm calling it war. So, like, you know, they haven't really started, right? Like, the dragons are not fighting each other. The two sides have not amassed their armies. This really was just like two essentially little towns that already hated each other, just looking for a reason to kill each other, and they did. But that's kind of the theme of what's going on. Like, they're really setting up, like, these people won't even know exactly what caused it, you know? And then they kind of cut to the twins who both killed each other in the last episode, kind of pointing that really just the same thing here of, like, you know, this is family killing family. We decided that we're both on these opposite sides, that, you know, we created the lines here, and then you did something wrong, and then I did something wrong, and then back and forth, and now we're both blaming each other. And they kind of go over, like, did it happen when the infant was killed? Did it happen when my son was killed? Did it happen when the eye was slashed out as a kid? Like, when did this really start? Because the rift has just been building and growing forever now. And part of me does kind of get that feeling of, like, I just want to see dragons killing dragons already. Like, I want to get to the epic fight. But this does seem like the show where the build up to it will be well worth it. Like, it's gonna mean more once we, you know, maybe near the end of the season, we're gonna finally get our first big, like, oh damn, these, you know, dragons and armies legitimately at war now. But we're still in that kind of build up to that. We're slowly getting there, you know, like, now we're seeing, like, a field of, like, a couple hundred bodies, and, like, that wasn't technically us at war. That was just these two families doing that on their own, but still, it's kind of there. So that's cool. And we do get a lot of setup this episode. You know, we have the Valerians. So we have the two daughters, and there's so many people with different names that all kind of sound similar, so it's hard to remember who's who. We have the two daughters of the Valerian household. One has a dragon and one does not. So the one without the dragon gets sent with the two infant of Rhaenyra's, you know, sent away to Pentos, basically, because obviously we've seen what can happen to small children here. So they get sent away with a crate of 4 dragon eggs. Now, it seems to be heavily implied that these dragon eggs are the ones that Daenerys will one day, you know, she'll get 3 dragons out of that. So I have to assume the 4th one will hatch at some point. I have to assume that the girl who's watching these 2 kids and was sent away, she'll be sitting by a fire at some point. The 4th, at least one of the eggs will hatch, and then there you go. And then the other 3 they assumed were, like, fossilized or just never gonna hatch, and hundreds of years later they are given to Daenerys, where Game of Thrones happens. So I guess that's what's happening. So that's interesting. And then we have the other one, which is basically told, hey, go look out for the Riverlands, because there's a lot of territory out there that we're trying to cover. And of course, there's Harrenhal. I believe it's called Harrenhal. It's the castle that was burned down a long time ago, but it's also still the largest stronghold out there. And really, this episode has focused around this place because we have both sides kind of talking about how, like, all right, we're gonna send Kristen Cole out there on horseback, and we're gonna try to keep it a small team that way no one notices us. And we're gonna slowly just like make sure these people are on our side. And then we have the Valerian daughter who's on Dragonback watching that area, trying to make sure essentially that doesn't happen. And then we have Daemon, the wild card, who's just doing what he wants. No one's told him to do this. He just ran away last episode. So he shows up there. And remember, this place is supposed to be like spooky and haunted. So it seems like right out of a horror picture, like an old school, like, you know, there's lightning and thunderstorming, and it's this decrepit old castle. So he shows up, and completely without like anyone, like, they're like, oh, you're taking over the castle, we're on your side? Yeah, okay, no problem. And like, they seem all for it. So like, okay, I guess we got that for now. Everything seems fine. But then he gets like weird little nightmares. So he goes to sleep, and he sees like this pounding on his door, and he wakes up and he runs down the hall, and he sees the actress who played young Rhaenyra in the first season, and she is sewing the head of the child back on, which was pretty disturbing. And basically it's just like, oh, I'm always picking up after your mistakes. And, you know, Daemon's maybe feeling some actual guilt now. It's always hard to tell where Daemon is, you know, like, does he feel bad about the things he's done? Does he even, like, did he do it on purpose? Does he understand the scope of what's going on? It's always hard to like get a read on this guy. But at least somewhere subconsciously, he might actually be starting to feel bad about like, oh wait, yeah, it's kind of my fault a small child died. And I caused, you know, I basically like guaranteed that the war that was already likely to happen, I pretty much guaranteed that it is going to happen now. Speaking of which, oh, well, first, he then goes, he wakes up and he's by the red trees, you know, the ones with the faces. And there's this like weird lady in a black cloak, and he's just like, and she's like, you're gonna die here, and then she runs away. And I'm assuming we're gonna know more about this lady later. You know, is she some kind of witch or phantom or something? I don't know what that was, but all I know is if it's really dark and you're in an old decrepit castle and someone's just like, you're gonna die here, like, I don't know, maybe leave. I don't know. I don't know what you do with that. That's just interesting. Anyways, so what we really finally get here is Rhaenyra basically has this plan to go talk to Alicent. Like, maybe there's a way we can talk about this, because Rhaenys, the queen who never was, she basically tells her like, hey, look, Alicent came to me. She was trying to figure out if there's a way out of this. It might not be too late, which, I don't know, a lot's happened since then, but okay, sure, let's give this a shot. And basically that's what she does. She goes to King's Landing. She finds where she is in the sept, right, where she's praying, and she has like a little tiny knife with her, and she's like, all right, don't scream or I'll kill you. So is there a way for peace here? And they basically come to the understanding that, yeah, what Jaehaerys said in his dying moments was not about Aegon, his son, becoming king. It was about the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy that he had told Rhaenyra way back at the beginning of season 1. And Alicent seems to understand this. She seems to like, wait, he was talking about Aegon the Conqueror, not Aegon his son? Oh shit. But she's also like, it's too late. It's too late. Like, my dad's not in the council. We have people already like out there riding off to make sure we've secured the Riverlands. You know, the king is on a rampage. There's no going back now. It's already like too much damage has been done. And she just leaves like that. And on one part I'm like, oh come on, Alicent, you know it's not technically too late. There's some way you could at least tell people this information. But on the other hand, she's probably right. Like, I don't see how they could just like, it's not like Aegon's just gonna give up the crown now, you know, like too much has already happened. His son has been murdered, you know, and then the other son got murdered, and it's too late. There's too many people like already like scheming and trying to make sure different things are happening for their own self-interest, and there's too many cogs turning. I don't think there's avoiding war now. Maybe if this had happened like 3 episodes ago, if this had happened 3 episodes ago, maybe there would have been a chance to avoid this war. But now it's too late. One too many things has happened, and that's pretty much where we leave things. Now, what is Alicent gonna do with this information now that she pretty much knows? Like, she had pretty much staked everything on the belief that she seemed to genuinely believe that he had changed his mind, that he wanted Aegon to be the next king, and now I don't know. Like, I guess she just has to like hold on to that and not say anything to anyone, because it's not gonna change things now. I don't know. Very interesting. So yeah, just not too much action this episode. I mean, we got like a cool sequence where one of the Valyrian daughters chased down Sir Criston Cole, and they almost kind of pissed their pants because they're running away from the dragon. That was a cool sequence. And again, just little hints as to what's to come. But yeah, it's still really cool. I'm still enjoying the show. It does feel like we're all kind of just waiting for the real hammer to drop, like again, we're just edging closer and closer towards legitimate war, but we're just not quite there yet. But soon we will be. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about episode 3 of House of the Dragon, and see you guys later. Bye.